Good afternoon, everyone. It's your boy Mills Rogers, and today for our expert spotlight, I have the pleasure and honor of interviewing Roderick Jefferson. And so, you know what? I'm going to jump right in to getting to our interview. Roderick is a very accomplished speaker. He's done a lot of different things with sales enablement. He has some books related to that. Roderick is just definitely a mover and shaker, and so I'm just super excited to jump right in to the interview. And so, Roderick, I'm so happy to have you here today.
Mills, thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate it. I really do. I've been looking forward to this with you. It's been a minute since we caught up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so, hey, this is a great opportunity to do it in front of everyone.
Let's
And
do
so,
it.
with that, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, I think mine is unusual as it goes with most because I was actually a radio and television broadcast major in
Okay.
college. So I always wanted to do something in the arena of communication and talking. I thought I was going to ESPN. Well, that didn't
Let me
happen.
stop you.
Right.
Let me stop you. Where did you go to college at?
I went down in the South, but here's the thing.
Hmm.
It was a new major, so it hadn't really caught on yet. I started out as a computer science major. I was like, that ain't me. That's for sure. And then I
Hmm.
found out that I would get paid to talk. And I remember my mama used to always say, boy, you should get a job where you get paid to talk because that's all you do. Well, I can now say, Mama, I think your boy has made it.
So yeah, I was trying to kind of promote where you went to
Oh
school
no,
at
I'm not
because of
promoting them.
okay, all right. I
I
was
know where you're
thinking,
looking at.
yeah,
I know
yeah.
exactly where you're pointing.
Hmm. So yeah, you can explain a little bit more about how you got into it.
Yeah. So again, I was radio and television broadcast, and part of my internship, I worked at a radio station. And I was like, okay, this is really cool, but this is not what I want to do. I want to sit on the desk either at the news or on ESPN. And then as it started to progress, I got into corporate in sales at AT&T years ago, back in the late 90s and or no, God, late 80s now. And so what came from that was obviously having conversations with people to sell. So I was like, this is just easy and simple. And I remember folks being just terrified to go out and to have live conversations. I was excited, couldn't wait to get out. And then as I progressed, I became a trainer. And then I started with sales enablement. Then I became an executive in corporate for the last 30 years. Right. And so with that, I was either speaking to the board, I was speaking to executives, I was speaking at conferences. So it just became a natural progression to become a professional speaker.
Okay. And so what's your primary topics that you're talking about? You know, because we got people that speak in education and speak in
Mhm.
corporate. So would you consider yourself an education speaker or a corporate speaker?
Actually, I consider myself a transformational speaker
Oh, okay.
because I would say before it was corporate, I was focused, my primary signature speech was on leveraging AI to increase productivity and revenue, right? So I was talking to sales and marketing leaders. How do you communicate, collaborate, and orchestrate together, right? And actually work to create more revenue. But it all changed a couple of years ago. So 4 years ago, I had a massive stroke where I actually coded, I died. I had a chance to have a conversation with my late mom, who my mom died in 99. My stroke was just 4 years ago. So you do the math on that one, right? She gave me my new marching orders and coming back out. And what came out of that was my third book and my new signature speech that I call Stroke of Success, where I tell about that rise in corporate, talk about the fall down when I had the stroke. And then the third part of the book is something that I call the Phoenix Rising from the Ashes of how I bounce back. A lot of prayer, a lot of speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and all of it was talking. Now, here's the interesting thing. I know God has a sense of humor, Mills, and here's why. My stroke was actually in my speech center.
Mm.
So not only did it paralyze my left side, but it impacted the fact that I couldn't speak. And when I did, I had aphasia, which is the medical term for stuttering, so bad that you couldn't tell what I was saying. So literally for 2 weeks, I didn't talk a word. All I did was grunted and pointed.
Wow. And look at you today.
I am incredibly blessed. And,
Yeah.
and beyond that, I always say I'm a walking miracle because I had my stroke while I live in San Francisco Bay Area. I had my stroke while I was doing a keynote down in LA. But even
During a
more
keynote?
important to
Wow.
that, I had it while I was asleep. 98% of sleep stroke victims never wake up.
Mm,
So I'm in that 2% club.
wow. You're incredibly blessed.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
And so you say you were inspired to write a book. Now, is the book about having the stroke or
Like I say, it's a part of it, but it's
Mhm,
really about finding balance in life. And I don't mean work life balance, but truly finding balance.
mhm,
Also, about kind of taking that mask off, if you will, because there's so many of us, and I was one of those, where I allowed what I did to overcome who I was, which
mm,
meant I'm flying around on corporate jets and corporate helicopters, and I've got the expense account and I've got the big organization, but it took me away from my family. And so I missed eighth grade graduation for my daughter. I missed, football and basketball and dance competitions with my son. My wife became essentially a married single mom. And so I look at it and I go, I can't do that anymore. So the book is literally about a couple of things. One, the grit, tenacity, and hard work that it took to fight back. But it's also about not losing yourself in what you do as opposed to who you are. And we all have problems. Life is life, and let's keep it real, right?
right.
I talk about how do you turn those setbacks into stepping stones for success.
So, what encouraged you to fight? When you had that stroke, because I'll be honest. My mother had a stroke,
Mhm.
and it was very tough for her.
Yeah,
I mean, she's still alive.
thank,
However, it was just very tough for her to
yeah.
really fight through. And so I'm just curious, like, what encouraged you to say, you know what, I want to get back to where I was?
I think there were a number of things. First was my faith and foundation, right? And the fact that I couldn't talk, all I could do was listen. And I really believe that the lesson for me was from God telling me, slow down. Oh, you didn't listen, I'm going to slow you down.
Mm,
So I had a plenty time to just have conversations inside my brain. The other is I was a high athletic basketball player. So I always had that drive to go, go, go and get to that next level, right? And then most importantly, I think it was I never forgot my why. And so my why coming out of this was the same reason I fought. Now remember, it's during COVID 4 years
right,
ago. So they couldn't come visit me, the family. So I was literally alone by myself, except for my wife could come in, but I was in ICU. I didn't want her coming in there during COVID. So I was like, you don't have to come here every day. You come when you can. And so the driver was my why. My why was now my 4 F's: faith, family, friends, and fun. And that last one, as adults, we find ways to work around that with everything else. But you got to have some fun, man.
mm. Yes, yes, indeed. Yeah, that's incredible because again, like I said, I know my mother she had a stroke and yeah, just trying to bounce back and recover and everything, it was tough. And so
A lot
I
of
do
work.
remember when you had yours, and I
Yes.
remember having, I don't know, I think you might have been online or something,
Hmm.
speaking online, and I remember the speech challenges that you had.
It was
And
rough.
yeah, and then a few months later, you're flowing just like you are right now. And so just
Yes and no on that one. Yes, what you see before me is definitely different than the video that you saw where I was stuttering. But at the
mhm,
same time, it's given me an appreciation for the different definitions of disability because you see someone, you don't know what's going on under the surface, right? I look normal. I sound normal now. I can hit the stage and probably go have a debate with the best of the best. But you also have to keep in mind, I take 14 medications a day
mm,
to be the person that's in front of you. And without that medication, I go back to slobbering and stuttering all over
Wow.
myself
And that was kind of what I was going to ask you, like how has that changed you just as far as your routines and that sort of thing? So you already expressed that you're
again.
taking 14 medications.
Yeah.
What other things have changed about you just
Well,
to
I'll tell you this.
sustain
My
it?
last cocktail was October 27th, 2021. And I know that because I had my stroke on October 28th. So that's the last time I had a Grey Goose and pineapple. Do I miss it? On rare occasion, but not so much. It just was kind of, a social thing. That's one thing. The other thing
Mhm.
is I lost 40 pounds because I changed my eating habits and I also started to get more exercise. Now, bear in mind, my stroke was caused with, I think it was a mixture of the stress from being an executive, but it was also because I have something called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is I have a really big heart. Right? I've got an enlarged heart. And it also has an excess layer of muscle around it because of all the athletics. So if you think about this, on average, the heart squeezes at about 65 to 75% at all times. When it gets down to 20%, you cardiac arrest and you die. When they rolled me into the ICU, I was at 22% heart function, and they gave me a 2% chance to live.
Wow. Mm, boy, it sounds scary.
It was terrifying.
Hmm.
It was terrifying. I don't remember the first 3 days in the hospital. I don't remember flying from LA to Oakland, which the first thing my neurologist and cardiologist says is the man's a miracle because between cabin pressure, altitude, and full blown stroke, I should have been dead before I touched the ground.
Well, as people say, God had a plan for you.
Absolutely.
He
And
wasn't
I
done
firmly
with you.
believe that. It
He
wasn't my
wasn't done
time.
with you. Yeah. And so, you're a man of a lot of wisdom and knowledge and everything. And so, you mentioned something as we were kind of doing your introduction and everything and just kind of breaking the ice. You mentioned AI.
Mhm.
And I know, of course, that is very well known and popular nowadays. But
Absolutely.
but to me, the key thing, and I don't know if people pick up, is that you were talking about AI several years ago. This is
Absolutely.
prior to your stroke
Before
in
it got cool
2020
to
and
talk
everything.
AI.
Yeah, and so I'd like to talk a little bit more about that because obviously the world is, now embraced
Fixated
AI.
and
Yeah,
embraced.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, and it's well known now. And
Absolutely.
people are probably not even realizing that AI was, it
Well, it's
was,
been around for a
yeah, it's
while,
been around.
right? It's
And
just all
so,
of a sudden ChatGPT made everybody believe that it just showed up one day,
hmm,
right?
yeah.
And so I was doing workshops on AI, and I've got 13 different AI tools that I teach on, right? And the reason I got so enthralled with AI was a couple of reasons. One, I kept thinking there has to be a better mousetrap than the way that we're doing things in my world at the time, right? How could I work smarter, not harder, but get as much, but if not, more work done with less work actually being done physically? So AI was definitely the answer. That was one side of it. The other side was I was always curious about how we could leverage AI to be more human. And let me explain what I mean. I believe that AI is no different than Word, PowerPoint, or Excel. And what I mean is, it's a productivity tool, and the outcome is only as good as the prompt that you put in.
Mm,
AI will give us the answers, some of it hallucinations, but for the most part, it gives us great content. But you still need humans for the context. And
mm,
people are always saying, hey, AI is going to take all the jobs and we won't have anything to do. No, not exactly not how it's going to work. I think there are two pieces here. One is a statement, one's a question for you. The statement is AI will not take all jobs. Actually, it's creating even more jobs. It will take the jobs of people that don't know how to use it and leverage it. Now, the question is this, Mills. Do we still have horses?
yes, we do.
Mm, you know where I'm going. When we got this thing called an automobile, we said, oh, horses are done. We won't need them anymore. They'll just be out running in the wild. But what we actually did was figure out how to do different things. Came the industrial era where they're out plowing fields and whatnot, right? It's not that we don't use them, we just use them differently.
Definitely.
AI is the same way.
Brilliant, brilliant. I love that. I
Thank you.
love that. And so it kind of leads into what I wanted to ask you. And so, this group is geared toward speakers, content
Mhm.
creators, that sort of thing. And so with AI expanding, what implications, just from your own knowledge and wisdom, does AI have for the speaking industry, content
Oh,
creation, and
so
whatever
many.
else?
Okay, so I've got an AI tool that I actually use that helps me, and I can put in my criteria in the prompt of who my audience is, what time frame, what months where the conferences are coming up, and it will pull all that together. Think about all the time that we used to spend trying to find all these speaking opportunities. I won't even say conferences, but speaking opportunities. I can get that done in 30 seconds, right? Then it can also give me the access information for the website and to the actual decision makers. Okay, now we're talking about acceleration, right? And not only will it do that, but it will then take my information, my speaker one pagers, my link to my website, all of my assets, and it will tie to that particular speaking opportunity, and it will draft out an email for me. Now I don't even have to do anything. It's writing all this. That's just the beginning of things. Let's say now I've booked a gig. What am I going to do? Well, I go into AI and I say, here's the audience, here's the theme, here's the timing, here's how long my keynote is. Write up an overview and a framework for me. Then I take that framework and I drop it into another tool called Gamma, and then it will, because I can put my brand colors, I can put my logo, all that into it. It then creates my whole customized keynote deck for me. And if I say I only want it to be visuals, no words or 2 words, it will do that for me. I have not built a deck in 3 years.
Wow.
Here's another one. You're a speaker, and on LinkedIn today, I don't know if you saw, but I put up a client testimonial because now I'm getting ready for sales kickoffs and events and corporate conferences next year. So I'm now putting out some social media proof of my clients doing testimonials. Do you think I wrote the post that went out there? Mm-mm. I said, here's what I want it to look like. I want it to be personalized. Boom. Because I use it so much, it now speaks in my voice and my tone. As a
So,
speaker, if you're not leveraging AI in some way every single day, and I'm talking about 7 days, 365,
mhm.
if you're not leveraging AI in some sort every day, and you're wondering why you're not getting gigs, because the people that are getting the gigs over you are using AI.
Yeah, I know it plays a pretty big role in what I
Hmm.
do. And so I know sometimes people, they hear this AI stuff, and of course, as you just acknowledged, it's incredible. It
Hmm.
can do so many things for you. And okay, devil's advocate.
Oh, it can be some ugly things too.
Yeah. So let's say somebody might be like, well, hey, if AI can do all of this stuff, then why would a person need my book? Why would they need my documents or whatever else? My toolkit. If they can just go to AI and just type in, "Hey, how can I send an email?" or find gigs or whatever
Yeah,
else.
that's a great question. And it's a very simple question because you and I are the secret sauce. I can go give someone my keynote deck. Does that mean that they're going to have the experience to go? Will they have the experience behind it? Will they have the inflection? Will they have the excitement? No, you will not. And that's why I say AI will give you content. You still need a human for context.
Mm. You all heard that, folks. And yeah, context often brings charisma with it.
Absolutely.
And that's what I always tell
That's the
people,
secret
like,
sauce right there.
yeah, they don't hire us just for information because obviously, yeah, we
You
can
can
go
get
get
information
paid.
anywhere.
Yeah, but it's usually context, which
Yep.
comes with charisma.
Mills, can I ask you a question? When
Sure.
you're out and you're speaking at schools and such, aren't you just telling stories for the most part?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And that's
And
that's what I
so
get high
A
marks on.
AI doesn't know your stories because it doesn't have your experience. And that's why there will always be a need for humans when it comes to what we do. Because otherwise, you can just anybody can stand there and click through a deck. That means nothing because you're like, there's no context to it. There's no there's no personality. There's no charisma.
Right.
That's why we do what we do, and because at the end of the day, we're people.
Yes. Yes, indeed. And so I know a lot of your expertise is based on sales. And of course, being a speaker, a
Hmm.
lot of times people get very obsessed, infatuated with what they do on stage,
Hmm.
which is very important. However, you're not going to make it as a speaker
No,
or just as someone that's trying to promote products, businesses, etc., if you're not good at sales.
absolutely.
And so I want to just talk a little bit more about that because you obviously have a lot of knowledge and experience in
Thank
that
you.
area. And so where do you see people often fall short when it comes to sales, whether they're selling themselves as a speaker,
Hmm.
selling from a brick and mortar or
Yeah,
whatever?
I
Yeah.
think there's a few things. One, stop hiding behind your email and stop hiding behind social media. Pick up the phone and actually talk to another human. Last I checked, people still buy from people and people still book people. All right. That's the first thing. Because it's very easy to send out emails. Again, nobody knows you with personality if you're just sending out emails or you're reaching out to folks on LinkedIn. That's one. The other piece is follow up. Sending one, two, three times is not enough. We both know, Mills, it could be 8 to 10 touches. And when I say touches, it can be an email, it can be a call, it can be information I sent, it could be sending, to my website or sending them a testimonial. You have to stay top of mind. One of my mentors said something years ago that sticks with me. And they said, it is not the client's responsibility to keep you top of mind. It's your responsibility to make sure that you're always top of mind with them.
Mm,
So you have to follow up and you have to do it consistently. Sending one or two could have got lost in email, right? Or caught them on a bad day, or got accidentally deleted with two other things that they were mad about, and yours was just kind of got caught up in it. You've got to follow up with people, right? And the other piece is if I can teach anything to someone that's either just coming into speaking or someone that's been doing it for years, it's as simple as this. Don't worry about how you speak, learn the business of speaking because I don't think I get my gigs because I'm so eloquent and I overwhelm people. I think that's a part of it, a small part, but I think a bigger part is I have a business that of speaking. I've got all of my contacts inside of my CRM and I stay on it religiously. I've got follow ups on my book and I follow up religiously, but you can't do everything. Sometimes you're trying to do too much. That's why you're not getting gigs because it's how it's hard to work on the business while you're working in the business. And you can get a virtual assistant for 5, 6, $7 an hour. Go get a VA. You think, oh, I don't have money to put out. You're losing money than you would be putting out on a VA, right? And the other piece is stay human. I can't say it enough. Reach out to people when you see stuff in the news or things are going on with the schools or there's something geopolitically that's happening. Reach out and say, hey, I saw this is happening. You live in Tennessee. I saw that there was a tornado. I just want to check in and make sure you and your family are okay. That has nothing to do with speaking. What it has to do is being human. And people go, oh, thanks. No, nobody else checked in. None of the other speakers did this.
Mm.
And you're like, look, I can't speak for what they do or don't. I just know that if I were in your situation, this were my family, I would want someone to check on me. Does that answer your question?
Oh, definitely. Staying human. Now, again, playing devil's advocate, some people will be like, well, it's just hard. I don't want to interrupt them. I don't want to disrupt their day or, what do you tell people that have that sort of response
I
when
say it
you
sarcastically. Apparently, you don't like eating because it takes money to eat. You don't like living in a house or an apartment. You don't like driving a car. You don't like having gas. You don't like being able to take care of your family. If this is what you've done and you're doing it just for the money, you're doing the wrong job because this is a tough and can be a lonely job. You have to remember your why. Why am I doing this? What drives me? And I often say, it's one thing to feed your family and yourself, it's another thing to feed your soul. If it
Mm,
doesn't feed your soul, don't do this. Go find something else. Because speaking is a lot of things, and we both know easy is not one of them. 10% of speaking is being on that stage. You got to chase afterwards to make sure you get paid and then you follow up, right? You've got
right.
to make sure you've got a tight contract so that it says, I get access to all of your filming, I get access to all of your audio, I get paid 50% up front, I get 50% upon completion, not net 90, because not net 90 turns into net 180 into not get paid, right?
Right.
So stay on top of the business of speaking and that will change your whole approach. And I guarantee you, it'll get you more gigs because the more organized you are, the more that they see it and the easier you're making for them to work with you.
Mm. And I'm glad that you said that because some speakers they want to convey that they're a diva for some reason. And
Would you say they wanted to convey that they're unemployed?
yeah, I mean, I actually saw where one speaker, who claimed to be very experienced,
Mhm.
was saying like, "Oh, you want to come off like, you're almost untouchable and that sort of thing."
So
And
you want to come off as busy, but not untouchable.
yeah, exactly.
Because nobody wants to hire the person
Where,
that's not hired constantly.
yeah, where people need to kind of chase after you.
They're not going to chase you. You're not the only person that does what you do, any of us.
Right. Hmm. So yeah, we definitely want to make it a good experience for
Mhm.
those that hire us because that's how you're going to get referred and that's when you'll get called back. And so yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. And so along the lines of speaking, we all like to portray that we're just dropping mics everywhere, you know. But if we're honest, sometimes we have those challenging
There
events
are
and
those dry moments. I think
Mhm.
speaking is feast and famine, unless you're, a Les Brown or an Eric Thomas at that level or Sean Fair, where you're just constantly busy all the time. But for the average speaker, it's high highs and low lows. And that's why I said this is a tough game, man. And you can put all the social media you want to, and you can look like you're busy and be everywhere. You're just looking busy. You're not getting paid.
Mhm. So if there's a brand new speaker watching this, if you kind of had to give them a blueprint as to how to really get going as a speaker, what would you tell them?
Join NSA first and foremost, National Speakers Association. And this is not a commercial. This is just something that we do inside of NSA. We have in the Northern California area chapter, and this is a global thing. We do something called Speak Up, and it's literally 3 consecutive weeks of teaching speakers the business of speaking. And we do it for people that are net new, brand new speakers. We do it for the mid-range folks like you and I who are busy right now speaking, but want to up-level our game. And then we do it for the legacy speakers, the people that are out there killing it, but they may be ready to retire, or I've heard this AI thing, I'm not really sure how to do it, or I need to expand on my team. But if you're a brand new speaker, I would say that's that. The other piece is get your game right. And what I mean is Toastmasters is helpful when it comes to getting you, I'll say at bats, right? Of getting out there and just speaking and getting used to breath control and getting used to how to accentuate words and how to tell a story and how to build a story arc, right? And for those that don't know, where you start and how you take them up across that journey of an arc and then how you bring them back down at the end and give them, call to actions. It's an art and it's not something that is innate to most people. So learn the game of how to speak and also learn the business of speaking
Mm.
and get mentors. That's something else. Reach out to OGs that are out there. Don't reach out to the people that you see all the time up on the stage at Salesforce and that they don't have time to mentor people. Find people, and that's the other great thing about National Speakers Association and also Black NSA. I've gotten some phenomenal mentors of people that I would have never been able to touch, but it was simple intros. I sit on the board of directors of NSA for Northern California. I didn't even know it existed before I met the people in NSA. So it's like everything else, the old adage of birds of a feather flock together, right? Same thing happens with those kind of situations with the Toastmasters, with the NSAs, because iron sharpens iron, and we're all trying to make each other better. And I've never believed, Mills, for a moment that I'm competing against someone else. Maybe
Mm.
that's where I'm different. I think my piece of the pie does not make yours smaller. How about we just go bake another pie?
Right.
There's money out there, man. Even in today's geopolitical situations, people are still making 15, 25, 75,000 for an hour. Now I'm talking about corporate,
Hmm.
not in the college and universities and schools, because I speak at the lower level and I'm not making that. Right. But the point is, there's money out there. You just have to have access and opportunity to making that money. So don't say, I can't make. Oh, yes, you can. You're just not connected in the right places yet.
You talked about mentorship and the importance of that. I'm just curious, like when you do a gig, a speaking event,
Mhm.
how do you know that you've done a good job? What do you have a tool that you use
Yes.
or,
Yep.
how are you getting feedback?
I get feedback by using Talkadot, and I use Talkadot on every single one because Talkadot to me is two things. It's not just a survey tool, it's a business development tool, most importantly. Right? And then the third component of it is it gives you social proof that you can put out to show other people saying how good you are. And I love that part about it. It's not me saying, hey, look at me, I killed it. No, that's them saying that. All right. That's one of the tools I use. The other way I know that things are really good is after I've spoken, how many people come up to me afterwards? And I don't mean that they're enamored with me. Oh, it was great. And this, no, 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 no. What I look at it is we've got something going on. We need you to come and speak. Hey, I've got somebody I need to introduce you to. I'm not stuck on the, surveys of 1 through 5. Those are good. What's great is referrals. When they say I need to intro you or we've got something coming up that we've got and we need you there, cool. Now you're talking about, and there's a difference between marketing and business development right there. Marketing is everybody's coming in to shake your hand and take selfies with you. Biz dev is, you know what? Let's turn this one gig or keynote into 12.
Mm.
The other thing is, I always sell books when I'm speaking, right? And I sign really slowly. I'll tell you why I do that.
Mm.
Because I have one of those, the fluffy top mics that you see everywhere. While I'm signing, I will ask that person, can you just take 30 seconds and tell me what you think of this? What was the best part of it? What'd you walk away from? And why would you recommend me? The last time I did one, there were 700 sales and marketing leaders. I walked away with a dozen video testimonials
Wow.
from that one. Now, think about what that does for social proof. Think
Mm.
about what that does when you're trying to get a gig. And I can send you 10 different ones. Can you send me one? You know what I do? I send them 10. I know they're not going to look at 10. My point is, I have 10 to send you.
Right.
And
Yeah, you
so,
definitely
again,
want to
back to the
overwhelm
business of
them.
speaking.
Hmm. Definitely want to overwhelm them with
Oh,
the social
100%.
proof. Yes. And so as we get close to wrapping up this interview, what's on the horizon for you? What you got coming up?
I have got a keynote coming up in Denver, and then another one in Boston, and then one coming up in Vienna, Austria. And I got one this
Wow,
morning wants me to go to Bangkok. So I've been blessed to speak in 16 countries now.
incredible.
And I'm just not up for that 27-hour ride, man. I don't care. First class, don't the plane don't land any faster. And I'm 6'5". Even in first class, I can stretch out. I hang off the edges. I'm not gonna hang off the edge of a seat for 27 hours.
Right.
So th- I'm going into my speaking season now, right? I've got
Hmm.
sales kickoffs, I've got events, I've got associations. So from January through probably July, that's the crazy busy time.
And so as I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, you've put out books. And so if somebody wanted to purchase one of your books,
Yeah.
how would
Thank you
they
for
go
that.
about doing it?
Simply go to roderickjefferson.com. I've got all of my books on there. I've got two different online courses. I've got, I think, three or four free ebooks for folks. Yes, free. I have no problem hand giving things out because if I don't give, then nothing comes back. I can't just ask for something all the time, right? And then I also have a particular page where if you are an event manager, I've got it all set up for you. I know what you're going to ask for. I've already got my headshots there. I've already got my one pager. I've got my on-stage intro. I've got my walk-on music. Everything is there. Again, as I said earlier, Mill, the easier I can make it for the event manager or the planner, the easier it is for them to say yes to my contract. And it's all on roderickjefferson.com.
There you have it, folks. Roderick, I appreciate you, man.
Thank
Just
you. I
giving us
appreciate
your
you.
time today. You just gave us so much gain, so much wisdom, and
Thank you.
I know I'm definitely gonna look at this again, take some notes from it, especially some of that AI stuff, because
Yeah.
we're always looking to work more efficiently. So again, I just appreciate you so much for coming on,
Thank you.
because you just provided a wealth of knowledge and information.
Absolutely. Now I've got a freebie that I want to help for the folks in our group.
Okay.
How about that? And it's free.
All right.
Reach out to me at info@roderickjefferson.com and I will give you my deck from my AI workshop where I actually teach 13 different AI tools that will help you be a more productive speaker.
Whoa. There you take advantage of that, people. Don't let that opportunity pass. You heard the website right there. We'll put it in the comments once we're
Yep.
finished with this. And yes, we all need to take advantage of that because this man knows what he is doing. So again, we just appreciate you today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Anytime we can catch up. Always a good time.
Always a good time. Until next time, change happens one person at a time, 1 second at a time. Let's go.